A former Arkansas teacher has been sentenced to a significant amount of time in prison. This is an update to a case that I posted a video about a long time ago. It's the Jesse Sublett case. So on September 7th, 2021, Conway High School was contacted in reference to inappropriate behavior that was going on between a student and a teacher. The mother of the student contacted the school because her daughter had received multiple gifts from a teacher or an employee at the school district, and the mother felt like that was inappropriate. And by inappropriate, I mean the gifts that this student had brought home were phone cases, an Oakley backpack, $200 in cash, hat, shirt, sunglasses, hoodies, and a lot of other items. The victim was also being bought breakfast and lunch. And all of these gifts were gifts that were received in about a 5-month period of time from April 2021 to September 2021. According to the mother, all this was coming from James Stiefvater, who ran the junior ROTC program at the school. And the mother spoke with James Stiefvater and asked him to stop giving her daughter gifts because it was inappropriate, but he didn't stop. In fact, not only did he not stop, but he told the mother that he is part of the military and they have different roles. Something good did come out of that conversation, though. Through that conversation with Sergeant Stiefvater, the mother learned that Sergeant Stiefvater and another teacher had gone to an automotive parts store and a tactical store with her daughter. 2 male teachers or employees of the school in a vehicle alone with her daughter. The other teacher's name was Jesse Sublett. So after the conversation with Sergeant Stiefvater, the mother to the victim took her phone, the victim's phone, and started looking through it, looking to see if she could find any, evidence of inappropriate behavior. And in those messages, she found messages from Sergeant Stiefvater to the victim saying things like, "I love you, I miss you. That's the only option because I can't live without you," and also sending kissy face emojis. Now, within 2 days of these accusations coming to the attention of the school, James Stiefvater was placed on administrative leave. I want you to remember this. Now, when the mother went through the victim's phone, she found those messages from James Stiefvater, but she also found messages from Jesse Sublett. Now, the messages from Mr. Sublett were interesting because they were sent at times when the victim wasn't in school, on Saturdays, in the evenings after school, or at night, in the mornings before school. And they said things like, "What's up?" at 9 p.m. on a Sunday night. "How's it going?" on a Saturday morning. And "You okay?" after school one day. On September 15th, 2021, the victim was taken to the police department. And at the police department, she was asked about the gifts, the messages, and the car ride. Now, she denied any physical contact or sexual contact with James Stiefvater. She said that the relationship that she had with Sergeant Stiefvater was a father-daughter sort of relationship. But the victim was pretty closed off when talking about that relationship. She didn't want to be questioned about it. She didn't even want to be at the police station. Now, she did admit that the things that were laid out are inappropriate things for a teacher to do, the things concerning James Stiefvater. But she said that she only viewed this as him taking care of her. It wasn't romantic in any sort of way. She said that the "I love yous" from him were like a father saying them to a daughter. The school was already aware of the accusations involving James Stiefvater, but they were made aware of the accusations about Jesse Sublett on September 16th. Police were able to speak with Jesse Sublett at the school, and Jesse Sublett, involving the relationship with James Stiefvater, said that James Stiefvater's relationship with the victim was just a father-daughter type relationship. Again, that same term everybody is saying, this is a father-daughter type relationship. While Jesse Sublett was mostly asked about James Stiefvater during his questioning at the school, he acted strange in a way that made the police feel like there's something more going on here. He was nervous, he was fidgety. So police left that meeting thinking like there's something that's being hidden and we need to figure out what it is. The investigator with the police department says that she was like, "I'm noticing that this father-daughter relationship began around May." So she looked through more text messages involving the victim, and in the victim's phone, she found things like messages about someone reading signals wrong and messages that James Stiefvater wanted to kick Jesse's butt and that Stiefvater was going to keep Jesse away from the victim. So the investigator called James Stiefvater and was like, hey, what are these messages about? James Stiefvater's like, oh, I don't know. Jesse was being rude to the victim or something. But the investigator was like, I don't really think so. So the investigator went back to the victim and spoke to the victim again. But this time, the investigator spoke to the victim on her own, safe zone in her home. And the victim was a lot more willing to talk at this time. The victim told the investigator that Jessie Sublett, the construction teacher at Conway High School, had commented on her underwear. He had pulled her pants away from her back to look at her underwear and at her buttocks. Jessie Sublett had forcibly kissed the victim in a closet in the shop. The investigator was able to get a hold of the principal of the school, a Mr. Being, and told Mr. Being, like, hey, this is the situation. Jessie Sublett is being investigated now for inappropriate contact with a student, and he doesn't need to be on school property while we're investigating. Mr. Being was like, got it. Thanks for keeping me in the loop. The next day, the investigator spoke to the SRO officer at Conway High School to make sure that Jessie Sublett wasn't on school grounds, and found out that Mr. Sublett was indeed at the school with the students. That's not the only thing that just angers me so greatly about this case, but more than that, the investigator found out that the principal, Mr. Bing, had pulled the victim into the office and been questioning her. And yes, the investigator did tell Mr. Bing, basically you could really negatively affect the investigation by doing this. But then the investigator had to physically go to the school to get the victim out of that office. Now, Mr. Jesse Sublett was off of school property at that point. I don't know how, but he was found at his house. While all this is going on, the victim actually found messages on her phone that she thought that she had deleted, where Jessie Sublett is asking for inappropriate photographs of her, and the victim's trying to push him off, saying, you wish, stuff like that. Jessie Sublett was arrested. Now, he was first charged with engaging a child in sexually explicit conduct and harassment, but that was changed, and he was eventually charged with second-degree SA. Jessie Sublett chose to have a jury trial in April of 2024, this past week, and he was found guilty by a jury of second-degree SA. He was sentenced to 20 years in the Arkansas Department of Corrections. Now, I did say that I wanted you guys to remember that James Stiefvater was suspended from the school, put on administrative leave, 2 days after those accusations came in. But Jessie Sublett had more serious accusations and was permitted not only to be on school grounds, but to also be with students. And not only that, but Mr. Bing was having the victim come in the office to be questioned, yes, by a, doctor, whoever it was at the office, but still, what do you think your role is in this? That's just mind blowing to me. And I almost wonder why he showed favoritism to Jessie Sublett by not, telling him to stay off school grounds, not putting him on leave like that. I truly, and I mean truly, hate that so many Arkansas teachers are being charged with this crime. Not that I hate that they're being charged with it, but just that I hate that they're doing it to begin with. But I love and appreciate that so many of these teachers are starting to actually be held accountable.